A very warm welcome to all our friends who have joined in today for this MindSpeak webinar we are conducting today evening on the GST that was introduced in July 2017. GST was the combination of many taxes put together and is applicable when there is any movement of goods or applicability of services. As you are aware of the new changes in GST, there have been many amendments in the laws of GST post 2016. If you will not take really cognizance of these changes, your business may land up into many issues and you may not be able to uh, file your returns properly. You will not be able to get full credit of everything that you should expect to get. And it is very important to know from the experts of these new developments today. The topic of discussion today is new challenges in the GST era and updates on the new tax laws that are applicable. We have two people who shall be discussing uh, this subject today. One is a consultant, the other is a jeweler. We start off with the jeweler, Mr. D.V. Ramesh, and I will introduce him. He is the CEO of Davanam Jewelers Private Limited. He has a rich administrative and operational experience. He's also a chartered accountant and is the backbone of his company in the area of finances and banking. He's associated with his company since 1987 and has 20 years experience in exports and import procedures also. He takes care of the overall monitoring of all the requirements of his group companies. He has a good network with top nationalized uh, managements and he holds honorary posts in many jewelry industry bodies. His management skills and network will help his company to expand and establish their business as a faster pace. He is also involved in charitable activities through the Satya Sai Baba Trust and is instrumental in organizing the COVID relief activity by the trust, where they have served almost 2 lakh needy people. Our consultant is Mr. Bhavin Mehta. He is a chartered accountant from the uh, famous company DC Associates. Bhavin Bhai took very active interest on the legal requirements with the GJF from 2016 during our excise discussions with the government on the propositions that we have made to government and what the government considered. Where I was a member of the high level committee, and he has Bhavin Bhai really put in a lot of efforts right from that time, explaining to us fundamentally how excise operated and how we would be able to be absorbed into it and how this whole thing would pass over from excise to GST, which is now something he is handling on a larger scale. He has a tremendous amount of experience on GST and he is actually a well-known name in the gem and jewelry industry across as a very long list of illustrated clients. So straight, I will hand you over to Mr. Bhavin Mehta, who will start the the entire thing with a presentation, and I will request Mr. Ramesh Davanam to say a few words and help uh, initiate this webinar. Thank you, Ramesh. Please take over.
Welcome all to the today's MindSpeak webinar series, wherein eminent speakers are empowering the trade fraternity in the area of business operations, taxation, and how to handle the business during the uncertainty. The COVID-19 has disturbed both mentally, physically, financially, and we are made to keep idle ourselves. But fortunate enough, with MindSpeak webinar series is able to educate us and use our time very productively. as a part of this webinar series, today we are going to discuss the new challenges post GST era which we are facing, and our good friend, Ms. Expert, Ms. Chartered Accountant, Ms. Bhavin Mata is going to deal with it. I think GST introduction was immense benefit to the economy and especially to our trade, which helped us to seamless movement of goods, opening of shops across country made very easier, and most benefitedly, we are able to get the input tax credit for all the interstate purchases, which we are deprived of during the VAT regime. And also, jewelry trade become more profitable, economical, and attractive across the country. But whenever the new law is been levied, we have few initial challenges about its applicability, understanding, and ambiguity. Though it is almost 3 years of implementation of GST era, our sector is still facing few challenges which is not resolved. Even though the trade body has given a lot of representations, but unfortunately we could get only tidbits of the notifications and reliefs, which is not at solved. Even though I think we should need to live and we should know how to live with it. We'll be facing the challenges, especially with respect to the participation in the exhibitions, issue of gold on the job work basis, movement of goods on approval basis, and exports. I think today, Mr. Bhavin Mehta ji has made a detailed presentation on section wise and item wise to understand things better. I request you, all of you, to listen this presentation carefully so that a lot of our problems still we are facing can be solved. It can guide us. And if you have any queries, we request you to write in chat box, which we'll try to answer at the end of the session. I think I request Mr. Bhavinji to take over. Thank you, sir. Please start your presentations.
Yeah. Thank you, Ramesh ji. First of all, a very good evening to everyone. And I would first of all really like to congratulate the team of Mindspeak. I think Ashok Bhai just informed me that this is the 61st webinar which they are conducting. So it's really commendable that right from the lockdown period, they could really rope in all the best speakers of the industry and really give a lot of information to the entire trade. Secondly, I am again happy that I am been invited again to speak and share my views about the GST. I have really worked with Ashok Bhai, Nitin Bhai, Avinash ji, maybe all the team members of the Mindspeak, and it was really a good time for me, right from the excise to the GST era, or maybe even the hallmarking and all the, in fact, I would say all the challenges which the industry is facing. I'm being made a part of it, and I'm really happy to be a part of the trade industry. Friends, what we can do is in today's webinar, I have divided into two parts. One is what are the relaxations or what are the changes which the government has announced after the COVID has come into the place. And the second part is the ongoing challenges which the gems and jewelry industry still today are facing. Maybe it could be related to job work, or maybe when there is a movement of goods for exhibition, or something like e-way bill, which the Kerala FM is very much behind, that we want to have an e-way bill in place. So that are all the burning issues that we will discuss in the second half or the later half of the presentation. We will start with the first part, where there are some changes which are really very important and which we need to note during this COVID period. So friends, without wasting much of the time, I think Ramesh ji, should I go in Hindi or English is fine?
So both, if you can mix.
Both.
Okay. So I'll have a blend of it. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. हाँ. So friends, I think जब से ये COVID announce हुआ है and there is a lot of disruption हो गया है business में, तो practically अचानक ये lockdown आने से मार्च से people were not in a position to really file their GST returns and all that. And there was a very hue and cry that कैसे उनके accountants office पहुंचेंगे, कैसे calculation होगा, क्योंकि at least Feb और March में तो sale हो रहा था, सब कुछ था, फिर भी हम लोग returns भर नहीं सक रहे थे. So the government came out with a situation whereby they are saying कि हम लोग due date extend नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन but we will give you relaxation या conditional waiver देंगे in the terms of reduction in rate of interest and waiver of late fees. So as you can see on the screen, there are different months and due dates and the rate of interest and everything has been mentioned. So I will not be going much into it because most of the people might be aware of it. But in a nutshell, what I could say is the due dates have been, वो सबका जो due dates था return filing का वो government ने same रखा है. उसमें कोई भी चेंजेस नहीं आया है, बट वो लोगों ने रिलैक्सेशन दिया है कि अगर आपने 15 डेज अगर आपका रिटर्न लेट फाइल किया तो देयर विल बी नो रेट ऑफ निल रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट। 15 डेज के बाद अगर फाइल किया तो 9% है, एंड आफ्टर अ कट ऑफ डेट दैट इज 24th of June इट विल बी 18%। So that is how government has divided. They have even have a bifurcated, अगर 5 करोड़ के ऊपर टर्नओवर है तो there is a different criteria, और 5 करोड़ के अगर नीचे है तो the criteria is different. As far as the late fees is concerned, the government ने बोला है कि अगर आपने ड्यू डेट के बाद अगर रिटर्न फाइल किया, ड्यू डेट मतलब द स्टिपुलेटेड द न्यू डेट के बाद अगर आपने रिटर्न फाइल किया, तो द लेट फीस विल बी कैलकुलेटेड फ्रॉम द इनिशियल ड्यू डेट which the government has mentioned. So these things I think which need to keep in mind, that we have to file the returns within the timelines to avoid, or maybe अगर आपको interest नहीं भरना है, today the interest non-payment of interest is as good as a saving of income. So we need to pay the returns and file the returns by the time. The second part which I would like to take over here is the late fees. Friends, यहाँ पे we need to understand some things. From July 2017 से लेके Jan 2020 तक बहुत सारे डिस्टर्बेंस थे। जब नया नया जीएसटी आया था तो पोर्टल ठीक से चल नहीं रहा था। इवन दी एसएससीज वर नॉट बीइंग अवेयर दैट हाउ टू फाइल द रिटर्न्स एंड ऑल दैट। बहुत सारे जन का ऐसा हुआ था कि उन्होंने रिटर्न लेट फाइल किया, तो जितना टाइम आप लोग रिटर्न लेट फाइल कर रहे थे तो 100 रुपीज पर डे, 50 रुपीज जीएसटी, 50 रुपीज एस जीएसटी, that was the late fees which was being charged, 100 rupees per day. So there were a lot of presentations from the trade and the charter fraternity that want a relaxation as far as the late fees is concerned, one time of relaxation. Finally, during this COVID time, the government ने relaxation announce कर दिया. They listened to what the people were saying, and what they decided is, if there is a late fee, if there is a failure to furnish the return, जुलाई 2017 से लेके जनवरी 2020 तक अगर आपने कोई भी रिटर्न लेट फाइल किया है, और अगर वो रिटर्न आप 1/7/2030 सितंबर 2020 तक फाइल कर देते हो, तो आपको लेट फी सिर्फ 500। आई एम जस्ट रिपीटिंग, इफ आपने जुलाई 2017 से लेके जनवरी 2020 तक कोई भी आपका जीएसटी का 3 वीक फाइल नहीं किया है, रिटर्न फाइल नहीं किया है, और अगर आप वो सितंबर 2020 तक फाइल कर देते हो, तो लेट फी विल बी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू 100 रुपीज पर डे के हिसाब से नहीं लगेगा। अगर आपकी टैक्स लायबिलिटी निल है तो फिर आपको लेट फी भी निल आएगी, बट इफ यू आर हैविंग सम लायबिलिटी, the late fee will be restricted to 500 rupees. Next thing is e-invoicing. Friends, this is something which we need to understand. The government ने अगर आपका turnover, if it is crossing a certain limit, तो उन्होंने e-invoicing का mechanism announce किया है। अगर आपका turnover 100 करोड़ के ऊपर है तो you have to transactions में आपको e-invoicing का mechanism implement करना है। So the first thing what they did is, because of this COVID, ये कोरोना या कोविड आने के कारण से उन्होंने वो डेट ऑफ इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को 1 अक्टूबर 2020 तक एक्सटेंड कर दिया है।
और जिनके उनका धन्यवाद तो दो प्रभा, अपन उसमें थोड़ा नीचे
नितिन जी प्लीज म्यूट योरसेल्फ। नितिन जी प्लीज।
सॉरी।
या सो द अदर थिंग इज दैट देयर वाज एन एग्जम्पशन। गवर्नमेंट ने कोई इंडस्ट्री को एग्जम्पशन भी दिया है, लेकिन एग्जांपल लाइक एन इंश्योरेंस कंपनी और बैंकिंग कंपनी जहाँ पे 100 करोड़ वाज अ वेरी नॉर्मल टर्नओवर, सो वहाँ पे 100 करोड़ टर्नओवर एक्सीड होना बहुत सिंपल था। बट गवर्नमेंट हैज टोल्ड दैट इन केस ऑफ इंश्योरेंस, बैंकिंग, नॉन बैंकिंग फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन, जीटीए ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स बाय रोड, एग्जीबिशन ऑफ फिल्म्स इन मल्टीप्लेक्सेस, ये सबको गवर्नमेंट ने एक स्पेसिफिक एग्जम्पशन दिया है दैट यू विल बी एग्जेम्प्टेड फ्रॉम प्रिपेयरिंग दैट ई-इनवॉइसिंग। Recently, on 30th of July 2020, the government has increased the limit of 100 crores from 500 crores. जो 100 करोड़ की लिमिट थी वो गवर्नमेंट ने बोल दिया कि अगर आपका टर्नओवर इन द प्रीसीडिंग ईयर 1920 में अगर 500 करोड़ क्रॉस हो रहा है तो ही आपको ई इनवॉइसिंग एप्लीकेबल होगा। ई इनवॉइसिंग का प्रावधान ऐसे डाला गया है कि इफ यू आर मेकिंग B2B सप्लाईज, अगर B2B सप्लाईज है, B2C है, then e-invoicing is not applicable. It is applicable only in case of B2B supplies, which includes stock transfer and branch transfer. Everything is included. In an industry like gems and jewelry, I think 500 crores is not a big thing. As the intrinsic value of the gold is very high and day by day the rate is increasing, so we have many of the people in our industry to whom this e-invoicing will be applicable. The date has been rescheduled on 1st of October, and the government is very much behind this. From 1st October 2020, they want to have e-invoicing for all the jewelers whose turnover is more than 500 CR. Then we have something like an annual return and new returns. So annual return and the audits, due to COVID, the people were not in a position to really file the returns, or maybe the audit could not happen for the year 18-19. So the government has extended the due dates for annual return and the audit for 18-19 to 30th of September 2020. Most probably even these dates will be extended, as still today we are in a lockdown phase only, and it's a partial unlocking, I would say. So I still presume that the government will going to increase this by further, maybe say 3 months. As far as 2000 year, the financial year 2018-19 का सवाल है, तो गवर्नमेंट ने एमएसएमई के तहत ऐसा कहा गया है कि जिसका टर्नओवर 5 करोड़ के नीचे है, उसको ऑडिट करने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. उनको सिर्फ एनुअल रिटर्न फाइल करना पड़ेगा, बट ऑडिट की आवश्यकता नहीं है. So those jewelers who are having a turnover below 5 CR for the financial year 18-19, उसको ऑडिट या जीएसटी या 9C भरने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. This is only for 18-19 and not for other years. The government even started, or they wanted to introduce new returns like Sahaj, Sugam and RET1 from 1st October 2020. But most probably the government announced that they are going to extend it till September 2020 or 1st October se new returns start hoge. But recently, as we have learned from the sources, that the government is planning that they are going to bring out with GSTR 2B. जो GSTR 2 है उसके साथ GSTR 2B भी आने वाला है, and they are not planning to bring in the new returns. So the new returns will be kept on hold, and they will be introducing a new form, GSTR 2B. So GSTR 2B क्या है वो एक बार आने के बाद ही शायद अपन समझ सकते हैं, but in a nutshell I will tell you कि GSTR 2B में आपको कौन सा क्रेडिट मिलेगा, कौन सा क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. So what credit is available to you and what credit is not available, that will be auto populated. It will be linked to your 3B और वो 3B में automatic reflect होगा. Today the biggest problem जो हो रहा है ITC में या Senvat credit में, or maybe the credit which you are taking में यही problem हो रहा है कि सप्लायर आपका रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करता है, आप क्रेडिट ले लेते हो, आगे जाके वो डिसअलाउ होता है, उसने जीएसटी भरा नहीं है या उसने उसका रिटर्न ठीक से भरा नहीं है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ हिज रॉन्ग डूइंग आवर क्रेडिट इज गेटिंग डिसअलाउड. सो डाउन द लाइन व्हेन विल यू बी हैविंग दिस न्यू फॉर्म, जब जीएसटीआर 2B आ जाएगा, सिस्टम आपको जीएसटीएन पोर्टल आपको ये ऑटो पॉपुलेट करेगा कि व्हाट इज द क्रेडिट अवेलेबल टू यू, व्हाट इज द क्रेडिट नॉट अवेलेबल टू यू, एंड ऑन अ टाइमली बेसिस यू कैन कोऑर्डिनेट विद योर सप्लायर सेइंग दैट you have not filed the return, and if you don't file, this will be not eligible to us. So this is a good initiative. So most probably the new returns like Sahaj, Sugam and RET1, they will be kept on hold, and you will be having the existing system, the return system, which will continue, और उसके साथ में ये नया 2B और ये फॉर्म ऐड हो जाएगा. One thing regarding the refund, which every people has been asking कि हमारा refunds में we are having lot of issues, हम लोग refund claim file करते हैं, but the government is not issuing the refunds. So there are some changes or relaxations or clarifications which the government has introduced during this COVID period. अगर आपने GST for example wrong भर दिया है और या तो आपने excess में भर दिया है, say for example आपको 100 rupees GST भरना था, but through an oversight you have paid 1000 rupees, and that you have done by debiting in your electronic credit ledger. आपके पास जो set off के लिए जो ITC था उसमें से आपने debit कर दिया है. So what was happening is when you do the audit or maybe जब आप reconciliation करते थे, आपको पता चलता था कि मैंने ज़्यादा GST भर दिया है, तो you would have make an application for refund claim. So every time when you make an application for refund claim, आपका refund claim reject हो जाता था. The government was saying कि आपको हम वही refund claim दे सकते हैं जो आपने cash में भरा है. If you have paid any excess amount through ITC, we will not refund you. So this time the government has come out with a clarification saying that if you have paid any excess amount, जो अगर आपने गलती से भर दिया है या ज्यादा भर दिया है जीएसटी और वो आपने आईटीसी से भरा है या सेट ऑफ के थ्रू भरा हुआ है, तो वो आपको रिफंड मिलेगा, बट दैट वुड बी बाय द वे ऑफ ए रीक्रेडिट. आपको कैश में रिफंड नहीं मिलेगा. अगर आपने कैश से भरा है या बैंक से भरा है तो ही हम आपको कैश रिफंड देंगे. अगर आपने आईटीसी से भरा है तो हम आपको आपके बुक्स में आईटीसी में रीक्रेडिट देंगे, बट वी विल नॉट गिव यू अ कैश रिफंड. So this is a very good move. I think बहुत सारे refund claims थे, मेरे खुद के clients के बहुत सारे refund claims अटके हुए थे. after this provision or the notification has come into place, we have got the refund claims, and that's a very good thing, I would say. The same is happening in case of refund of any other amount other than tax paid on zero-rated suppliers or deemed exports. So if the officer is satisfied that the amount claimed as a refund is refundable, he will make a refund order and he will give you, अगर आपने कैश से अगर आपने भरा है तो proportionate amount आपको कैश में refund मिलेगा और remaining amount आपको you will get as a refund by the way of recredit in your electronic credit ledger. So this is a good thing which they have introduced by notification number 16/2020. The other very important thing is ये थोड़ा my friends who are into exports they should concentrate over here. ये 96B एक नया rule है जो उन्होंने introduce किया है, and this is very important. The rule says that if exports proceeds, recovery of refund of unutilized input tax credit or integrated tax paid when exports proceeds are not realized. ऐसा होता है कि आप एक्सपोर्ट कर देते हो लेकिन सामने एक्सपोर्ट करने के बाद आपको वहां से फॉरेन एक्सचेंज आता नहीं है. You don't get the amount or the sale proceeds from the customer to whom you have exported the goods. So the provision ऐसा बोल रहा है when any refund of unutilized input tax credit on account of export of goods or integrated tax paid on export of goods. So there can be two ways of export. या तो without payment export करोगे या तो ड्यूटी भर के export करोगे. And you make an application for refund और आपको अगर refund मिल जाता है but sale proceeds आपको नहीं आता है within the time limit as mentioned in FEMA, so it is 6 months from the date of export. The rule says that the person to whom the refund has been made shall deposit the amount of the refund, amount of जो refund मिला था उसको फिर से सरकार को लौटाना पड़ेगा to the extent of non-realization of sale proceeds along with interest within 30 days of the expiry of said period. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर मैं एक्सपोर्ट करता हूं मुझे 6 मंथ्स के अंदर मेरा सेल प्रोसीड्स नहीं आता है फ्रॉम अब्रॉड, तो इन दैट केस मैं जो भी रिफंड मैंने क्लेम किया है मुझे सरकार को लौटाना पड़ेगा विद इन 30 डेज ऑफ द एक्सपायरी ऑफ 6 मंथ्स. अगर मैं ये नहीं लौटाता हूं 30 दिन में तो द गवर्नमेंट हैज द राइट, द डिपार्टमेंट कैन इशू यू अ शो कॉज नोटिस अंडर सेक्शन 73 and 74 and they can recover the said amount along with interest. This is very important that generally I know that we recover the amount within 6 months, but in case if you don't recover this amount, definitely you will have to reverse it along with interest. And the further the provision says that अगर फ्यूचर में आपको ये अमाउंट रियलाइज हो जाता है, where the sale proceeds are realized by the applicant subsequently and the applicant produces an evidence within a period of 3 months from the date of realization, the amount so recovered shall be refunded. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर आपको फ्यूचर में सेल प्रोसीड्स आपके कस्टमर से आ जाता है और अगर आप इसका एविडेंस दे सकते हो within 3 months from the date of realization, so then to that extent आपको फिर से वो रिफंड का अमाउंट वापस आ जाएगा. I think I have few questions in the chat box I would like to take. What about the 9C for 1920? Okay, so Arpan Goenka is asking, Arpan ji, इसमें ऐसा है कि अभी 1819 का ही 9C अभी तक फाइल नहीं हुआ है. So once that 1819 will be filed, then we'll be having a due date for 1920. And one more thing I am having from Ramesh ji is e-invoice, it is for B2B or B2C.
No, it is no. I just clarified.
Okay.
It is only for B2B. He was asking the PAN number. It is only
Correct,
for
correct. B2B. Okay, yeah, I'll move ahead. So there is one more thing over here. The undertaking, the government has told that जब भी अभी आप refund claim file करोगे आपको एक undertaking देना है. Undertaking में यही लिखना है, I hereby undertake to deposit to the government the amount of refund sanctioned along with interest in case of non-receipt of foreign exchange remittances. So if I'm doing an export, if I don't receive the sale proceeds, I am bound. I undertake that I will again return the refund amount which has been granted to. Okay. One more thing which is very important over here is till today, as per the current provisions, what we were doing is कि हम लोग ITC का refund जो लेते थे, जो 2A में अगर मान लो कोई चीज नहीं दिखती थी, नॉर्मली क्या होता था जब लोग आप रिफंड का एप्लीकेशन करते थे, we were filing RFT 01, the department was insisting कि आपको GSTR 2A का एक स्टेटमेंट देना पड़ेगा, इनवॉइस का स्टेटमेंट, एंड दोज इनवॉइसेस जो उसमें रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं होता था उसका अगर आप हार्ड कॉपीज दे दोगे तो we will allow you the refund claim. But as per the new provision from 31st March 2020, they are saying that if the ITC or maybe if it is not reflected in GSTR two-way, you are not eligible to refund to that extent. So previously, on submission of hard copies, the government was allowing you the refund, but now they are saying that if it is not reflected, you are not allowed to refund to that extent. That is what the change has been made.
I think we should be careful in this.
Yes. Okay. I think if we can, in the chat box, if we can ask some questions which is relating to the current topic, it will be relevant. The general questions which we can have in the later part of the session. Yeah, I'll just move ahead. दोस्तों ऐसा हो गया कि जब लॉकडाउन आ गया, तो लॉकडाउन स्टार्टेड समवेयर इन द मंथ ऑफ से मार्च 2020 एंड अगर आपको किसी को एक्सपोर्ट करना है तो आपको लेटर ऑफ अंडरटेकिंग लेना पड़ता था, LUT. दिस इज द सेम एज वी हैड इन एक्सरसाइज में, वो सेम प्रोविजन इन्होंने यहाँ पे ये किया था. बट just because it was a lockdown, people were not in a position to make an application for LUT, because for LUT you required the digital signature, और सबके digital signature perhaps या तो ऑफिसेस में थे या तो उनके कंसल्टेंट के ऑफिस में थे, and it was a complete lockdown and most of the people were not in a position to make application for LUT. So the government came out with a provision saying that अगर आपका LUT expire हो रहा है 31st March 2020 को, there is no need to worry. The time limit for filing the LUT for 2021, it has been extended to 31st of August 2020. 31st अगस्त 2020 तक आपको पुराना जो आपका LUT है उसमें ही आप एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हो, एंड यू कैन कंटिन्यू टू मेक एक्सपोर्ट्स विदाउट पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स. जो 2021 में अगर आपको LUT का नंबर डालना है तो यू कैन गिव द रेफरेंस नंबर और द ARN नंबर ऑफ द 1920 का जो आपका LUT है, उसका आप रेफरेंस नंबर देके आप आगे बढ़ सकते हो, एंड दैट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज वैलिड. So now initially it was 30th of June. By notification number 55 of the 2020 उन्होंने वो टाइम लिमिट 31st अगस्त तक एक्सटेंड कर दिया है. टाइम लिमिट फॉर क्लेमिंग रिफंड, इवन दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, कि ऐसा हो गया था कि आपके एक्सपोर्ट्स जैन में, दिसंबर, जैन, फेब या मार्च में आपके एक्सपोर्ट्स हो गए थे, बट यू आर अनेबल टू फाइल द रिफंड क्लेम. आपको जो रिफंड क्लेम करना था वो आप कर नहीं सक रहे थे, या तो ऐसे बहुत सारे रिफंड क्लेम थे जिसका आपका कट ऑफ डेट वाज मतलब इट वाज एक्सपायरिंग ऑन 31st of March, बट बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड और लॉकडाउन यू वर नॉट इन अ पोजीशन टू फाइल द रिफंड क्लेम. So even in this situation, the government has given a relaxation that if you are unable to file the refund claim, that time period, which was expiring on 31st of March, maybe it is from 20th of March 2020 to 30th of August, अगर वो time frame में expire हो रहा है, तो it has been extended to 31st of August. तो in case अगर आपने कोई भी refund claim file नहीं किया है, because you are not in a position to file the refund claim because of the lockdown, the time limit has been extended to 31st of August 2020. This is very important. I think, friends, ये बहुत सारा issues था. There were a lot of presentations being made, and finally the government came out with this. What was happening is when you wanted to file your return, जब आप 3B file करते थे या GSTR 1 file करते थे, तो in case of private limited companies or public limited companies, you compulsory or mandatory need a digital signature. If you are a proprietorship or a partnership firm, yes, you can do it through that OTP or the EVC. But for companies, there was specifically that you have to insert your digital signature, then only you can file a return. So luckily the government came out with a provision saying that we understand that you are not in a position to reach your office. But yes, what we can do is from 21st of April to 30th of September, if you are filing either your 3B or maybe yes or GSTR 1, you can file through EVC. So that is, you will receive an OTP on the registered mobile number, and after you put the OTP, you can file the return. The other thing was in case of filing of nil 3B. So if any people, they are having nil returns, so maybe practically from April, May, all the showrooms were closed, or maybe practically all the businesses were down except for essentials. In that case, most probably most of the people were having nil returns. So the government is saying that if you are having nil returns, we are even giving you the provision that from SMS, through an SMS, you can file your returns, and you need not have the provision of EVC, or maybe so the digital signature is not required. There will be an SMS which will be sent to a registered mobile number, and through that you can file your nil returns. They have even defined what is nil return. A nil return shall mean a return that has tax nil or no entry in all the tables of 3B. So this is very important. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि अगर आपका सेल नहीं है तो उसको नील रिटर्न कहा जाएगा, पूरे का पूरा 3B नील होना चाहिए. कोई एक कॉलम में भी आपका कोई भी अगर फिगर रहेगा तो उसको नील नहीं माना जाएगा. Something like that, you are not having sale, but if you are having purchase, then it will not be treated as a nil return. The next very important part over here is e-way bill. I understand that most of the people in our industry are saying that we are not having an e-way bill because there is an exemption which has been given to the gems and jewelry sector. So what is the situation? How are we concerned with e-way bill? But यहाँ पे एक important part ऐसा था कि if you are having any movement of goods जो आपके यहाँ पे आ रहा था या वो बीच में अटक गया था, say for example there is a furniture or maybe there is any other product which is apart from jewelry and there was a movement जो 20 मार्च से लॉकडाउन के टाइम से चालू हो गया, तो गवर्नमेंट हैज टोल्ड दैट ओके इफ इट इज एक्सपायरिंग ड्यूरिंग द लॉकडाउन पीरियड देयर विल बी नो इंटरसेप्शन, or even if it is intercepted it will be treated as the due date has been extended, and finally they have extended. First they extended it till 30th of April, then they extended till 31st of May, and finally now they have extended till 30th of June. So in case if there was any movement of goods from 20th March, after 20th day of March, and the e-way bill was expiring, so the government has come out with the provision, they would not worry, it will not be treated as expired. Till 30th of June, it will be treated as valid. Next point, this is very important. I think friends, यहाँ पे थोड़ा आपको ध्यान देने की जरूरत है. In October 2019, the government came out with the provision. There is a new rule 36(4) जो government लेके आई. What is 36(4) saying? That आप जो भी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट लेते हो, द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट लेते हो, मान लो इन अ मंथ यू आर टेकिंग 100 rupees as input tax credit, but when you go to the portal is showing only 50 rupees. आपको 100 रुपए का इनवॉइसेस आ गया है जिसमें 100 rupees आपको आईटीसी मिल रहा है, बट पोर्टल पे सिर्फ 50 rupees दिख रहा है. तो द गवर्नमेंट केम आउट विद अ प्रोविजन सेइंग दैट वी विल अलाउ यू only to the extent of, initially it was 20%, now they have even brought down to 10%. So 50 plus additional 10%, so only to the extent of 55 rupees you will be eligible for the credit. ये अक्टूबर 2019 से ये प्रोविजन आ गया था. But after the lockdown, practically it was not possible to monitor these things because what was happening is बहुत सारे जन का इनवॉइसेस आपके पास आ गए थे, बट उनको they were not in a position to file their GSTR1. तो लोग GSTR1 फाइल नहीं कर रहे थे, तो GSTR2 में दिख नहीं रहा था. So finally the government has come out with the provision that as far as 36(4) is concerned, for the months of Feb, March, April, May, June, July and August, there will be a relaxation as far as the condition of 10% is concerned, and all that things or all the ITC will be cumulative considered in the month of September 2020. इसका मतलब ऐसा है कि जो भी आपकी क्रेडिट आ रही है फेब से लेके अगस्त 2020 तक, वो 10% का जो क्राइटेरिया है वो क्यूमुलेटिव सितंबर 2020 में देखा जाएगा, and then the government will decide that whether this eligibility is available, that additional credit is available to you or not. It's a very interesting rule which we need to understand, because a lot of notices are being issued under Rule 36(4). The government issuing ASMT 10 on a regular basis, where they are saying that अगर आपकी क्रेडिट 10% से ज्यादा आपने ली है तो you are supposed to reverse it along with interest. This rule is also challenged by many people. I think there is some disturbance. Yeah, thank you. So here the government has come out with a provision कि ये जो हम relaxation दे रहे हैं due to COVID, because of COVID, from Feb 2020 से लेके August 20 तक हम लोग ये आपको relaxation दे रहे हैं, और ये जो condition है हम लोग direct September 2020 में आपकी ये applicable होगी.
Dhawanji, do you have any table made in this sector to understand?
See, currently I don't have a table, but I think this is a very in-depth topic. So all I can say is that, say for example, you have a credit of say 10 lakh rupees starting from Feb to August 2020, and on the portal it is being shown only as 8 lakh rupees in the month of September. So the government is saying that you can take only to the extent of 8 lakh 80,000 and not the entire 10 lakh rupees.
Okay.
But the whole idea is, rather than going month wise, the government is told that we will combine all this, and From Feb to August, we will total it and then we'll check in the month of September 2020. Yeah. So extension in time limit of compliance, even this is the relaxation which the government has given. Normally, all the compliances the government has given the relaxation, say for example, payment to your suppliers within 180 days, job work provisions. से ऐसा हो रहा था कि आपने जॉब वर्क के लिए आपके गुड्स दिए हैं जिसका 1 year खत्म हो रहा था 31st March को एंड द जॉब वर्कर कैनॉट सेंड यू द गुड्स और मे बी द टाइम लिमिट फॉर गुड्स सेंट ऑन अप्रूवल. आपने अप्रूवल पे गुड्स भेजा है बट देन 6 months एक्सपायर हो रहे हैं ड्यूरिंग द कोविड पीरियड एंड आपके गुड्स वापस नहीं आ सके हैं. तो गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग दैट एनी टाइम लिमिट और एनी कंप्लायंस व्हिच इज एक्सपायरिंग फॉर द पीरियड फ्रॉम 20th March से लेके 30 August तक 31st August तक हम आपको उस पर एक्सटेंशन दे रहे हैं. So this is also a very good relaxation which is required. The next is friends directors remuneration. इसमें बहुत सारा confusion था and finally on 10th of June the government came out with a circular whereby they have clarified that directors remuneration पे GST किसको भरना है या किसको नहीं भरना है. Friends, we need to understand this. The circular was very interesting and then there were a lot of advance rulings which were going on and there were some very faulty advance rulings which would say that on directors remuneration you have to pay and something of that sort. So finally the government came out with a clarification on 10th of June. So directors remuneration I have divided into two parts. One is an independent director who is not an employee of the company. So if there is any consideration which is paid to a director who is not an employee of the company, then there is no employer-employee relationship and the company will be liable to pay GST under RCM. डायरेक्टर रेम्यूनरेशन में ऐसा होता है कि डायरेक्टर को जीएसटी भरने की आवश्यकता नहीं है, कंपनी को अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज भरना पड़ता है. तो इफ यू आर मेकिंग एनी रेम्यूनरेशन या आप कोई भी कंसिडरेशन दे रहे हो टू एन इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर हु इज नॉट एन एम्प्लॉय ऑफ द कंपनी, so in that case the company will be liable to pay GST under reverse charge. Obviously it will be the company will be eligible to take the ITC of the. In the second situation, on the right hand side, you can see the director who is an employee of the company, but he can act in two capacities. One, where he is acting as an employer of the employee of the company. In that situation, who will be getting salary as a consideration. There will be TDS which will be deducted under section 192. Income tax में हम लोग TDS deduct करते हैं section 192 में, और अगर TDS section 192 में अगर deduct हुआ है तो employer-employee relationship माना जाएगा और उसके ऊपर कोई भी GST भरने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. बट अगर आप डायरेक्टर को और कोई कंसिडरेशन देते हो या रेम्यूनरेशन देते हो विच इज अपार्ट फ्रॉम सैलरीज, से फॉर एग्जांपल कमीशन और मे बी सम प्रोफेशनल फीस और टेक्निकल सर्विसेज, एंड यू आर डिडक्टिंग टीडीएस अंडर सेक्शन 194J ऑफ द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट, then there is no employer-employer relationship and again the company will be liable to pay GST under RCM. So the point over here is if there is employer-employer relationship रहेगा तो GST नहीं आएगा और employer-employer relationship अगर नहीं होगा तो GST आएगा under RCM. I think Ramesh ji, now most of the changes which were applicable of the COVID-19 that we have covered. If anybody wants to ask a question on the recent changes, they can put this on the chat box and I would be happy to answer that. Then I could take the next part, which is the challenges which we are having today.
I think we have some general questions in the mute box. I think if you can take that.
Okay.
Somebody is asking how to bring the personal jewelry if it's a director bringing to the business. What is the GST procedure?
So if there is a director, as you are saying, and if he wants to bring the jewelry into his business, so it will be something like you are buying it from an unregistered person.
Okay.
There will be no GST on that transaction if you're getting it from a director.
Just like as good as a old gold
customer. Yeah, old gold, yes. Okay, so now I think we can take this purchase of old gold or jewelry. I think in this COVID era, after there is a lot of people who are asking me that बहुत सारे जन है जो ज्वेलरी बेचने को आ रहे हैं, तो what would be the treatment for them और हमें क्या ध्यान में रखना है. There is a very interesting advance ruling कर्नाटका का है एटिको गोल्ड का. We will even be looking at that, but initially let us take some simple examples and then we'll be moving it to that advance ruling. Yeah, so the interesting part over here is Mrs. A, she is an individual, she is not registered under GST. She wants to sell the studded bracelet which she is having, and she comes to an XYZ jeweler and company जो GST में registered है. In this scenario, obviously Mrs. A, she is an individual and she is not registered under GST, so there is no supply and so there will be no GST. Now, as far as XYZ and company is concerned, there is no RCM. RCM applicable nahi hai, that 94 has been kept and hold, and so again there will be no GST. So I think this is the press release of 30th of July 2017. इसमें नितिन भाई, अशोक भाई, I think if they remember, हम लोगों ने बहुत मेहनत की थी and we had gone to Delhi with हसमुख अढ़िया जिससे बहुत हम लोगों ने fight किया था. And finally we can get this press release के old gold के ऊपर there will be no GST. And
I remember very well.
I still remember that जब हमें वहाँ पे appointment मिलती थी, तो we being called कि आप 3 जन या 4 जन आ सकते हो. But during नितिन भाई's era, when we would go, हम लोग एक ही साथ में 10-12 जन अंदर चले जाते थे. And नितिन भाई used to say that lawyer सिर्फ कानून बता सकता है, but ज्वेलर का पेन सिर्फ एक ज्वेलर ही बता सकता है. So that is how we used to manage it. But finally, this was a very, very good breakthrough, I would say. Otherwise, the RCM provisions or maybe the old gold में अगर GST भरना पड़ता तो वो काफी problematic हो सकता था. So this is what we had achieved at that time. It was every time there was, I think, GST की master class, and Hasmukh Adia used to come up the national television and he would say that what are the challenges being faced by the industry. And we were just sitting and all of a sudden we found out that Nitin Bhai has got a WhatsApp saying that ये relaxation मिल गया है, old gold के ऊपर GST नहीं आएगा. I will take an example. यहाँ पे Mrs. A is an individual, she is not registered under GST. Example को और आगे बढ़ाते हैं. In this example, there is a company by the name ABC जो ज्वेलरी में व्यापार करता है, but he is not registered under GST because उनका turnover 20 लाख से नीचे है. He wants to sell the studded bracelet. The company wants to sell. XYZ jeweler के पास आता है. ABC jeweler को कोई भी GST भरना नहीं पड़ेगा because he is below the threshold limit of 20 lakhs, so उसको GST की आवश्यकता नहीं है. XYZ Limited के लिए थोड़ा important है. GST at the rate of 3% will be applicable till 12th October 2017. दोस्तों प्लीज ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड ओवर हियर. 12 अक्टूबर 2017 तक RCM एप्लीकेबल था. तो अगर आपने ऐसा कोई भी ट्रांजैक्शन किया है जो 12 अक्टूबर 2017 के पहले है, और अगर आपने अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर से खरीदा है, आई एम नॉट सेइंग अनरजिस्टर्ड इंडिविजुअल, बट आई एम यूजिंग द वर्ड अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर से खरीदा है, तो 3% भरना पड़ेगा. After 13th October 2017, rather after 12th October 2017, the RCM has been deferred and there is no GST. This is again as per the press release stated 13/7/2017. We take our example even further. There is a margin scheme करके एक स्कीम गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किया था कि अगर आप सेकंड हैंड गुड्स में डीलिंग करते हो तो आपको GST पूरे अमाउंट पे नहीं भरना पड़ेगा, मार्जिन पे भरना पड़ेगा. So it's a very classic example. ये ज्वेलरी से ही एप्लीकेबल है. So let us go through this. Whether the applicant dealing in second-hand goods is to be paid the difference between the selling price and the purchase price as stipulated in 32(5), if the dealer purchases used or second-hand gold jewelry from individuals who are not dealers under GST, and at the same time at the time of sale there is no change in the form of nature of goods. So in this case what was happening is, एक आदमी है जो उसकी ज्वेलरी बेचने को आता है, वो ज्वेलर को बेच देता है, ज्वेलर वो सेम ज्वेलरी आगे किसी और को बेचता है. So he is dealing in second-hand goods, and in this case, the question was, is the jeweler liable to pay GST, or maybe he can go for the margin scheme? पूरे amount पे भरना पड़ेगा या सिर्फ difference पे भरना पड़ेगा? Example लेते हैं थोड़ी clarity के लिए. Purchase of old gold or jewelry from unregistered customer. Again, we have Mrs. A, who is an individual. She comes to sell her 22 carat necklace for 3 lakh rupees. XYZ jewelers के पास आता है जो GST में registered है. XYZ ज्वेलर्स A से वो 3 लाख में खरीद लेता है. वो सेम ज्वेलरी या नेकलेस ही इज सेलिंग फॉर 3,50,000 टू ABC ज्वेलर्स. 3 लाख में A से खरीदा, 3.5 लाख में ABC को बेचा. So as per the margin scheme, the government is saying that if you are following the margin scheme, you are liable to pay 3,000 only on 3% only on 50,000 rupees. That is the difference. अगर आप मार्जिन स्कीम फॉलो करते हो तो आपको सिर्फ 3% भरना पड़ेगा जीएसटी, सिर्फ 50,000 रुपए पे, ना कि 3.5 लाख रुपए पे. So there is a condition. Supply made by XYZ Jeweler and Company must be a taxable supply. XYZ Jeweler and Company must be a person dealing in buying and selling of second hand goods. सेकंड हैंड गुड्स का मतलब ऐसा है कि वो डीलर होना चाहिए, माइनर प्रोसेसिंग कर सकता है लेकिन मेल्ट करके ज्वेलरी नहीं बेच सकता है, पॉलिशिंग या फर्निशिंग या ऐसा कर सकता है. एंड जीएसटी हैज टू बी पेड ऑन दी सेलिंग प्राइस एंड बाइंग प्राइस. फ्रेंड्स, यहाँ पे एक ही सिर्फ ड्रॉबैक है. इस स्कीम तो सबको अच्छा लगेगा कि मेरे को सिर्फ यहाँ पे रादर देन पेइंग ऑन 3,50,000 मुझे सिर्फ 50,000 पे भरना पड़ेगा. लेकिन XYZ ज्वेलर जब ये एबीसी को बिल बनाएगा तो ओनली थिंग इज उसका मार्जिन एक्सपोज हो जाएगा, बिकॉज व्हेन ही विल पे जीएसटी ऑन 50,000 सामने वाले को मालूम पड़ जाएगा कि इसका प्रॉफिट मार्जिन क्या है. दिस इज व्हाट आई एम एंटिसिपेटिंग एंड व्हाई पीपल आर नॉट गोइंग फॉर दिस स्कीम. Let us take an example still further what this advanced ruling of Karnataka is saying. Now in this scenario, पहले मिसेस ए इंडिविजुअल थी, नाउ PQR एंड कंपनी है जो जीएसटी में रजिस्टर्ड है, वो फिर से वो 22 कैरेट का नेकलेस बेचने को आता है. 3 लाख से प्लस जस्ट बिकॉज दे आर रजिस्टर्ड इन जीएसटी उसको 3% जीएसटी भी लगाना पड़ेगा, तो 9,000 रुपीज दूसरा आ गया. XYZ को बेच रहा है. XYZ is again selling the same necklace at 3,50,000 to ABC Jewelers and Company. यहाँ पे 3 lakhs plus 9,000 है because PQR is registered in GST, and that 3,09,000 I am selling the same necklace at 3,50,000. Government is saying yes, you can again go for the margin scheme. यहाँ पे आपको 3% भरना पड़ेगा 41,000 rupees पे. That is the difference between the selling price and the purchase price. The only catch over here is XYZ Limited को 9,000 का ITC का बेनिफिट नहीं मिलेगा जो PQR ने उसको लगा के दिया है. That ITC it cannot take. और अगर वो ITC नहीं लेता है तो 41,000 के ऊपर उसको 3% भरना है. But as I rightly said, most of the people are not going for the scheme because they are saying that our margins will get exposed और सामने वाले को पता चल जाएगा कि इसमें हमारा मार्जिन क्या है करके. So this is what we have a classic example of Atico Gold Private Limited in case of Gold Gold. After this COVID-19 when there was an unlocking, बहुत सारे जन के मुझे messages आए थे कि सर हम लोग ये margin scheme में जाए या ना जाए, whether we should go or we should not go. Yes, if you people are comfortable and if you are not having an issue and if your margin, अगर आपको ये system applicable है तो yes, you are eligible for this and you can pay 3% only on the differential amount, the selling price and the purchase price. It will be acceptable. Yeah. Okay, people are asking about the gold received by customer for repay through order. I think we can take this later on. In the later part of the presentation, this is available. Okay, I'm just moving further to the next part. I don't know if people are having questions in this old gold, they can write or type on the chat box because this is a very interesting topic which many people might be facing during this period. So if you're having any question as regards this, what you can say, the sale of old gold or something of that sort, please type in your chat box and I can reply to it.
I think gold given for remaking does not apply to RC matchings because we are going and making a purchase, a sale later.
Oh, that should be fine. Yeah.
We'll pay full GST on that. We'll collect GST and we'll pay it.
Correct. Yeah, okay. Somebody's asking if he resales again, will it get the GST credit? The answer is yes, they will get the GST credit. What is the period of old gold? There is no period of old gold. So you can have an ancestral gold also, you could come and say. Okay, friends, I think we can go to the next topic.
Good evening, Bhavi ji, Vijay Khanna this side.
Yeah, Khanna ji, good evening. बोलिए.
सर ऐसा है कि जो हैंड कैरी हमने एग्जीबिशन के लिए लेके गए दुबई और समवेयर आउट ऑफ इंडिया, तो जो सामान वहां बिका, उसके बाद जितना माल वापस आया है उसके ऊपर वो जीएसटी मांग रहे हैं और उसके लिए नोटिस आ गए हमारे पास.
नहीं सर, उसके लिए स्पेसिफिक प्रोविजन आ चुका है कि अगर आप अब्रॉड में एग्जीबिशन के लिए कोई भी आपके गुड्स लेके जाते हो and for the purpose of exhibition, and out of that part of the goods are sold being that, so there is a specific notification under GST, there is a circular which is being issued, and even the customs में ये notification आ चुका है कि उसके ऊपर आपको फिर से GST नहीं
I think
लगेगा.
we have
अगर ऐसा
separate discussion on that, no, exhibition.
yeah. So if there is something, Khanna ji, you can just bring it to my notice. We'll reply to that notice.
Sir, please, can you send me the copy of that order?
आप मेरे को नोटिस भिजवाइए सर, मैं आपको रिप्लाई भिजवा दूंगा. मैं आपका हैंडल करता हूं, तो मैं करवा
tomorrow itself or day after, because
I'll draft a reply, sir. Don't worry.
tomorrow we are shop is closed. Day after I will send you.
Not an issue. Not an issue.
All right. Thank you.
We go to counter sale. I think the next topic हमारा counter sale है. Somebody is asking, do we need to keep a separate stock of such goods which are to be sold under the margin scheme? There is no requirement to keep a separate stock. You will just have to correlate that this is what I have bought and this is what I have sold. So separate stock is not required. Yes, that mapping would be required. So that should be fine. Can a bullion dealer go for the margin scheme, and what is the finally benefit? Yes, anybody can go for the margin scheme. If you are dealing in the second-hand goods, you can definitely go for the margin scheme. What is the final benefit, sir? That you need to work out that what is the final benefit, whether it is benefit to you or not. That I think you have to sit and work down on a paper. But still, I would repeat. यहाँ पे सिर्फ एक ही ड्रॉबैक है कि जो आपका कस्टमर है उसको मालूम पड़ जाता है कि आपका मार्जिन क्या है, आपने कितने में खरीदा था और आपको कितना प्रॉफिट हो रहा है. So that is the only drawback which I have found by this scheme. If that is not a hindrance to you, you can definitely go for this scheme. Yeah.
Maybe little cumbersome to file returns.
Correct. Yeah. No, written filing is okay, Ramesh ji. That is not an issue. You can file that. The only thing is your customer will come to know कि भाई ये इसको 50,000 रुपया मिल रहा है और मुझे सिर्फ 10,000 रुपया मिल रहा है. So that could be an issue, and for the rate and all that.
Of course.
Okay.
Bullion is not second hand. I think somebody is selling how the bullion is defined. No.
Bullion is not second hand. Okay. Bullion, acha. Right. Yeah, that is also a valid point that bullion is not second hand. But what is second hand in the sense that it should be a used thing. So somebody is having like a jewelry, you can say second hand because they have worn that jewelry and it could be a second hand. But if you have a bullion and if somebody is only trading in bullion, I think then in that case it will not be applicable. Okay, let us go to counter sale, friends. Counter sale, what to charge, CGST, SGST or IGST? Friends, it has been more than 3 years, but I think still today also people are still struggling कि हमें क्या charge करना चाहिए. I've taken some of the examples. Say for example, the jeweler is in Maharashtra. Customer comes to his shop from Maharashtra. B2C transaction है. Very simple. CGST or SGST of Maharashtra होगा. Again, in the second example, the jeweler is in Maharashtra. The customer comes from Kerala. Again, B2C transaction, CGST plus SGST. Third example, jeweler is in Maharashtra. Customer comes from Kerala. He has a GST number. It's a B2C. It's a B2B transaction. In this case, it will be IGST. In the last example, jeweler is in Maharashtra. The customer comes from USA. He's a foreign tourist. He comes on a visit to Mumbai and he wants to buy a jewelry. It's a B2C transaction. But here also again, in spite of being a B2C transaction, you have to charge IGST. There is a specific provision under the IGST Act which says that in case of a tourist, you have to charge IGST and not C plus SGST. Friends, the challenge over here is the GST is a destination-based tax. Many people are asking कि हमारे shop में tourist आता है. So what are the documents which we should collect from a tourist? How do we come to know that he is a tourist? Is only a passport copy enough, or maybe what are the additional documents which we should ask a tourist which should give us? In my opinion, friends, कि अगर आपके यहाँ पे अगर कोई tourist आ रहा है तो आपको passport के copy के साथ visa का भी copy लेना चाहिए, which proves that he is a tourist, and only passport copy is not enough. Refund to tourists, this is something which we have already made a presentation to the government, that in case if a tourist comes and if he goes to the airport and if he wants to claim a refund of the GST which he has paid over here, be eligible or not. There is a provision in the law, but unfortunately those provisions are not being activated, and today the customs are not geared up, or maybe we don't have a provision on the customs whereby these refunds are being given to the tourist. Yes, I think lot of industry have made a presentation for this. And down the line, we could see a situation where the refund will be available to the tourist if they buy the jewelry from them. But currently, it is not available. Goods sent on approval. I think this is what many people have been asking me कि Bhavin bhai इसमें कैसे approval में भेजना है? What are the documents to be prepared? And still today we are having challenges. Such problem पूरा है तो हम क्या करेंगे? Okay, let us take that. Okay, when the goods are sent in approval, अभी प्रावधान ऐसा है, द रूल इज सेइंग दैट अगर आपने गुड्स को अप्रूवल में बेचा है तो 6 महीने के अंदर वो वापस आना चाहिए. अगर 6 मंथ्स के अंदर वो वापस नहीं आएगा तो उसको डीम्ड सप्लाई माना जाएगा एंड ऑटोमेटिकली यू विल बी लायबल टू पे द जीएसटी ऑन इट. लेट अस टेक दिस विद एन हेल्प ऑफ एन एग्जांपल. एबीसी लिमिटेड है जो ज्वेलर है मुंबई में, 10 kg ऑफ गोल्ड बेचता है थ्रू हिज सेल्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव. लाइन सेल के लिए बेचता है, मार्केटिंग पर्पस के लिए. He has to make a approval memo or a delivery challan which has to be specifically as per rule 55. ये चीज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. अगर आप आपके मार्केटिंग एग्जीक्यूटिव के थ्रू अगर कोई ज्वेलरी बेचते हो फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ लाइन सेल्स और मे बी फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ अप्रूवल, यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर अ डिलीवरी चलान व्हिच हैज टू बी अंडर रूल 55. दो सिचुएशन हो सकता है, या तो आपकी ज्वेलरी एक्सेप्ट हो जाएगी, वो सामने वाला रख लेगा, या तो एक्सेप्ट नहीं होगी. अगर एक्सेप्ट नहीं होती है तो वो 6 महीने के अंदर वापस आना चाहिए, और अगर एक्सेप्ट हो जाती है तो द गुड शुड कम बैक विद इन 6 मंथ्स. और अगर एक्सेप्ट नहीं होता है, सॉरी एक्सेप्ट हो जाता है, तो इन दैट केस द गवर्नमेंट हैज गिवन एन ऑप्शन कि यू कुड प्रिपेयर, यू कुड कैरी, आपका जो सेल्स का रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है वो मैनुअल इनवॉइस बुक लेके जा सकता है विद अ डिफरेंट सीरीज and he could prepare an invoice. So if the goods are sold in Pune, he will charge C plus SGST because it is in Maharashtra. And if the goods are sold in Delhi, he will be charging IGST. And that is how the transaction will end. I think मुझे यहाँ पे फिर से याद है कि we had made a lot of presentation and it was a day of Dhanteras जब ये circular बाहर आया था. This circular was being brought specifically for the gems and jewelry industry. If you read this circular, उन्होंने लिखा है कि ये हम लोग ज्वेलरी इंडस्ट्री के लिए लेके आ रहे हैं. And I still remember this time कि we all were very happy. Otherwise ऐसे होता था कि अगर आप मान लो यहाँ से गुड्स लेके जाते हो, you are taking it to राजस्थान और maybe you are taking it to Delhi, और वहाँ पे अगर आप कोई गुड्स करते हो तो पहले आपको कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन का वहाँ पे एक सेपरेट नंबर लेना पड़ता था और फिर ही आप सेल कर सकते हो. बट आफ्टर द सर्कुलर कमिंग इनटू द प्लेस, लाइफ हैज बिकम मच सिंपल. आपका जो सेल्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है या मार्केटिंग रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है, he has to only carry a manual invoice book which will be having a different series, and he can prepare a invoice, वहां का वहां invoice बना सकता है और वो कस्टमर को दे सकता है. आपको सेपरेट नंबर लेने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. I think there are some chats which are coming. Okay. So yeah, there is a very common question which people are asking कि अगर हम approval या marketing purpose के लिए लेके जा रहे हैं तो either it is by train or maybe by flight or maybe by road, जो बस से जाता है, हमें क्या क्या डॉक्यूमेंट्स कैरी करने हैं. बिकॉज बहुत टाइम ऐसा होता है कि हमारे को बॉर्डर पे या मे बी ऑन द चेक पोस्ट हमारा मार्केटिंग एग्जीक्यूटिव को ये लोग पकड़ लेते हैं एंड दे आर सेइंग दैट यू आर नॉट हैविंग द डॉक्यूमेंट्स, और सीधा वो लोग इनकम टैक्स या जीएसटी को खबर करते हैं एंड द गुड्स आर बीइंग सीज्ड. अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, what you should really do is you should have a delivery challan under section 55. The authority letter which you have given to your person, ABC आदमी, जो भी आपका आदमी जा रहा है उनके नाम पे ऑथोरिटी लेटर होना चाहिए. आधार कार्ड, पैन कार्ड होना चाहिए उसका उसके साथ में जब वो पकड़ा जाए. प्लस एट द सेम टाइम जो भी डिलीवरी चलन आप बनाते हो उसकी एंट्री आपके स्टॉक रिकॉर्ड्स में होनी चाहिए. व्हाट मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर डूइंग, इसका डिलीवरी चलन तो बना डालते हैं लेकिन उनके स्टॉक में से उतना गुड्स कम नहीं करते हैं. दे आर ओनली प्रिपेयरिंग द डिलीवरी चलान और डिलीवरी चलान बना के भेज देते हैं. डिलीवरी चलान में अगर आपने 10 किलो का माल अगर आप एबीसी आदमी के थ्रू भेज रहे हो, आपके स्टॉक के रिकॉर्ड्स में वो डिलीवरी चलान का नंबर होना चाहिए और उतना स्टॉक कम होना चाहिए. If that is the scenario and if your goods are being caught, और अगर वो आपके goods नहीं छोड़ रहे हैं, we can definitely fight out this case. In most of the cases which has come to me, what I have found is सबसे पहले तो वो लोग चलान ही नहीं होता है, उनका डिलीवरी चलान नहीं होता है. एक लेटर हेड के ऊपर कुछ तो लिखा हुआ रहता है कि हम ऐसे ऐसे भेज रहे हैं. They never prepare the delivery चलान. which is very, very, very important. The second thing is they are having उनका जो आदमी होता है उनके जो भी डॉक्यूमेंट्स है या जो प्रूफ है वो कभी कभी वो प्रूफ भी एडिक्वेट नहीं होते हैं which proves that he is in connection with this company. ये कंपनी से वो आ रहे हैं तो ऑब्वियसली वो लोग बोलेंगे कि ये चोरी का माल है या something of that sort, and then they report it to the either to the local police or maybe they take it this matter to the income tax and the GST. So in this case what I would suggest is कि you have all these documents plus the entry in your accounting records. आपके stock records में वो entry minus होनी चाहिए, then I think nobody can catch you. When we don't know the buyer in line sale whose name the delivery challan has to be made. Okay, in this case, the delivery challan has to be made in the name of your person. There are even questions which people say कि my marketing representative वो 2-3 स्टेट क्रॉस करता है. आज वो गुजरात जा रहा है, 7 दिन के बाद वो राजस्थान भी जाएगा, वो वापस नहीं आता है, वहीं से वहीं निकल जाता है. In that case, everything has to be mentioned over that. Somebody was even asking me a question कि सर कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है कि मेरा आदमी होता है वो हैदराबाद में है, अचानक फोन आ जाता है इज इन तेलंगाना और आंध्र में से एक बायर का फोन आ जाता है तो मैं उसको अचानक बोल देता हूँ यहाँ से तुम यहाँ पे चले जाओ, बट उसके पास तो रहता नहीं है तो क्या करे. इन दैट केस फ्रेंड्स यू नीड टू बी केयरफुल. whatever permutation combination आप जो सोच रहे हो, the whole idea is whenever he is being caught or whenever he is being intercepted उसके पास delivery चालान होना चाहिए जिसमें उसका नाम लिखा होना चाहिए और प्लस लिखा होना चाहिए कि वो कहाँ कहाँ जा रहा है. So if he is going to Telangana या हैदराबाद already आपने एक वाउचर बनाया रहेगा, but now if he wants to go to Andhra or maybe विजयवाड़ा, definitely you need to have a new चालान और वो न्यू चालान उनके पास होना चाहिए when he is being intercepted or caught. अगर वो नहीं होगा और आप सिर्फ वर्बली बोलोगे तो कोई फिर वो मानेगा नहीं. Now there is one more question which people are asking, how to get the GST input of hotel expenses while traveling to other states. अर्पण जी, आई वुड लाइक टू मेंशन ओवर हियर इज अगर आप दूसरे स्टेट में आप जा रहे हो एग्जीबिशन के पर्पस के लिए और अगर आपने वहां पे नंबर लिया है कैजुअल टैक्सेबल पर्सन का तो फिर वो स्टेट का आपको आईटीसी मिलेगा. लेकिन अगर आपके पास वो स्टेट का नंबर नहीं है तो आपको आईटीसी नहीं मिलेगा.
But can you not take as a business promotion expense if you get the bill in the name in the company name with GST number? Can we take the credit?
No, Ramesh, the problem over here is in case of hotel accommodation, what they charge is the CGST and SGST of a particular state. Say, for example, you are in Bangalore and you come to IIGS for an exhibition, which is in Mumbai. So when you stay in Marriott or maybe the Westin or any of the hotels which are located adjacent to the Nesco ground, in that case, they will be charging you CGST plus SGST of Maharashtra. So that CGST and SGST of Maharashtra, you cannot take as an ITC against the Karnataka CGST or SGST or IGST. So the fungibility of the credit is restricted to a particular state. You cannot use the CGST and SGST of Maharashtra against CGST and SGST of Karnataka.
No, but if I get the bill in the name of my company down with my then they'll charge IGST, no? Then they can
no, they will not charge you IGST, irrespective of if you give the name of your you give the GST number and if you give the name of your company also, they will charge you CGST and SGST also. They cannot charge you IGST because as per the place of supply, the service has been given in Maharashtra and so they charge you CGST and SGST of Maharashtra. So that is very important and we need to take care of this. Now some Uma Shankar ji is asking if we send goods through someone who is not in our employment register. Sir, if you are sending the goods who is not your employee, so you need to give an authority letter होना चाहिए कि हम ये आदमी को authorize कर रहे हैं कि ये हमारा माल लेके जा सकता है. एक authority letter होना चाहिए. वो आदमी का आधार कार्ड या पैन कार्ड होना चाहिए जो आपके पोजीशन में होवे, whereby you can prove that you have authorized him to take your goods. Jatin bhai is asking, delivery challan must be made with IGST or CGST plus SGST. Now, delivery challan, if the goods are going out of Maharashtra, it has to be made with IGST. If it is going within Maharashtra, it has to be with C and SGST. Right, so I think we can move ahead to the next slide. Arpan ji is asking, casual GST number is compulsory or not for B2C exhibition? सर हम लोगों ने बहुत मेहनत किया, आप क्यों ये कैजुअल जीएसटी नंबर लेते हो? आई थिंक नितिन भाई, अशोक भाई, दे ऑल विल बी सेइंग कि इतना मेहनत करने के बाद भी सब लोग क्यों कैजुअल नंबर ले रहे हैं. So I think that has been specific provision that if you take your goods And if you have that circular 10/10/2017, you can follow that. You can take the challan book or maybe you can take the invoice book. अगर sale होता है तो आप invoice बना दीजिए वहाँ पे. Bhavesh Shroff is asking that seller in Maharashtra sends the goods through insured courier to Jalgaon due to non-availability of insured courier services at buyer's place, MP. Okay, and the buyer collects the goods from Jalgaon and brings to registered place for resale. The invoice is in the name and the registered address of the buyer along with MP GST number. What should charge? भावेश जी, I think मैं आपका query शायद समझ नहीं पा रहा हूँ. What you can do is
दो
maybe
स्टेट में जा रहा है.
I'm not understanding. The seller is in Maharashtra. He's sending the goods through the courier services to Jalgaon. So Jalgaon seller is Maharashtra. Buyer is also in Maharashtra. Due to non-availability of insured courier services at the buyer's place, MP. I think.
सर मैं बोलूं क्या? भावेश बोल रहा हूँ. हाँ सर. सर एक्चुअल में प्रॉब्लम ऐसा है, अब मैं मुंबई से माल कलेक्ट करवाता हूँ एज कोरियर. अब एमपी में मैं जहाँ रहता हूँ, जिस प्लेस पे रहता हूँ, वहाँ कोरियर फैसिलिटी नहीं है. तो वो कोरियर जलगांव तक आता है.
बराबर.
अब जलगांव से मेरा पर्सन जाके कलेक्ट करता है और मुझे बुरहानपुर में डिलीवर करता है.
ठीक है.
तो बहुत सारे होलसेलर हमको कहते हैं कि सर हम CGST SGST लगाएंगे, बट मेरा रीसेल तो एमपी में हो रहा है.
नहीं, आपके जो सेलर है वो भले आपको डिलीवरी जलगांव में कुरियर ऑफिस तक ही दे रहे हैं, बट ही विल हैव टू चार्ज यू IGST. वो बिल पे क्या लिखते हैं? जब मैं अगर आपका सेलर हूँ तो मैं बिल पे क्या लिखूंगा?
बिल पे मेरा नाम आ रहा है.
हाँ, आई विल बी राइटिंग भावेश भाई MP, मतलब जो भी आपका
एंड GST नंबर.
and the GST number.
Then IGST, then you should charge only.
You should charge IGST.
एकदम पर्सनलाइज क्वेश्चंस जो है ना सर,
हाँ
सर, वो आप यहाँ नहीं डिस्कस कर सकते. आपके पर्सनल क्वेश्चन अगर है तो आप डायरेक्टली भाविन भाई को कॉल करिए. मैं आपको नंबर दूंगा उनका, क्योंकि अपने को समय पे काम खत्म करना है.
प्लीज.
ओके सर. या
Okay, I'll go to the next slide. Goods sent for exhibition. यहाँ पे ऐसा हो रहा है कि goods sent for exhibition, there are two types. One is a B2B exhibition and another is a B2C exhibition. In case of B2B exhibition, if you are coming and participating something like in an IIJS या GJS या ऐसे कोई show में आप participate कर रहे हो, and if you are coming for an exhibition, the only document which you need to prepare is a delivery challan, which has to be as per Rule 55 and has to have an address of the exhibition center. I think there is some disturbance.
Avinash ji, can you mute them?
Yeah. In case of B2C, अगर आप कोई B2C exhibition में part लेते हो तो आपको delivery चालान चाहिए as per Rule 55 with the address of the exhibition center, and you even need an invoice. अगर आपका exhibition center पे sale हो जाता है तो you carry a manual invoice book, you prepare an invoice over there, and that is allowed as per circular number 10/10/2017. E-way bill, friends, I think थोड़ा यहाँ पे light डालना जरूरी है. This is very important. E-way bill, हालांकि अभी E-way bill अपने को applicable नहीं है, but there are some points which we need to understand. E-way bill is not required for the movement of goods falling under Chapter 71. Jewelry के लिए E-way bill नहीं है. Relaxation is not to a jeweler, but it is to a products falling under Chapter 71. If you are making any movement of goods other than jewelry, maybe furniture or maybe something else, you need to prepare an E-way bill if the value crosses 50,000 for interstate or maybe 1 lakh if it is within the state. For products falling in other chapter, E-way bill has to be prepared. The 37th GST Council meeting, जो 20 सितंबर 2019 को हुई थी, there is a separate group of ministers which were being formed to examine the feasibility of implementation of E-way bill for the movement of gold and precious stone. Government ने एक separate group of ministers बनाया हुआ है, which is being headed by Thomas Isaac ji, who is the FM of Kerala. उनके अंडर उन्होंने एक ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स का ग्रुप बनाया हुआ है एज रिगार्ड्स द फिजिबिलिटी ऑफ E-way bill ऑफ गोल्ड एंड प्रेशियस स्टोन्स के ऊपर E-way bill लाना चाहिए या नहीं आना चाहिए. So till date, I think most of the trade bodies we have managed to keep E-way bill out of the gems and jewelry, and the only thing what we have am I audible, sir?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So till date, I think we have been citing कि security का एक ही कारण है जिसके वजह से हमें e-way bill नहीं आना चाहिए. But as you are aware, seeing the current scenario और जो भी recent scams हो रहे हैं, and maybe the Kerala FM is very vocal. Sooner or the later, I think e-way bill is going to come for our sector. But I have many questions over here that exactly is the e-way bill or maybe the trade really geared up for e-way bill? Even today, the karigars or the job workers, they are even struggling for delivery challans. They are not in a position to make the delivery challans. I really doubt that how they could be prepared or maybe make the e-way bill, which has to be on a real-time basis. And what would be happening in the case of, say, exhibitions or the line sale movement? How would we prepare the e-way bill? ये जो challenges है जो very specific जो हमारे industry के लिए ही है, बाकी सब industry के अलावा we are very specific. We have majority of our trade which works on Angadiya. How can an Angadiya, you just imagine that somebody is going from Javeri Bazaar, he will catch a train from Bombay Central, he will be getting down to a station, वहाँ से वो auto rickshaw या bus में बैठेगा या taxi में बैठेगा, and then he might be reaching to some other location. So this is really challenging. I don't know how that e-way bill is going to be implemented. We have working with a labor intensive industry जहाँ पे एक ज्वेलरी बनाने को 3-4 जगह पे अपना सेम ज्वेलरी को मूव करना पड़ता है. And I think it is really a challenging thing for our industry where e-way bill if it's being introduced, it is going to be a really challenge for us. So I would really urge again the trade, maybe the trade bodies that they keep their momentum and the presentation maybe pressure build up karte rahe, and we keep on making presentations to the ministry saying that this is not acceptable to our industry. So Ashok bhai, I think this is something which we need to highlight, and maybe we need to take it further to the ministry and the government that e-way bill is something which is not acceptable to us. Okay, the next point which we want to take is job work. I think this is a very interesting topic, and I think in the past, maybe some during this lockdown period, I had a separate session only on job work for 3 hours. I had a webinar where we were speaking on job work. So this is a very vast topic. But what I have done is I have tried to cover the most sticky points or the challenging points which our jewelers are not following even today also. So what is job work? Friends, section 268 में job work को define किया गया है. Any treatment or process undertaken by a person on goods belonging to another registered person, it will be treated as job work. अगर आप कोई भी treatment या process on goods belonging to another registered person करते हो, तो ही उसको job work माना जाएगा. अपन एक example ले लेते हैं. XYZ company है, 24 कैरेट का गोल्ड देता है जॉब वर्क करने के लिए ABC को, दोनों रजिस्टर्ड है GST में. ABC कंपनी जॉब वर्क करेगा और 5% लेबर चार्ज पे लगाएगा. Very simple. Let's take an example still further. Mrs. A है जो GST में registered नहीं है. She comes with a 24 carat gold bar and she is saying that I want to make a gold ring. वो ज्वेलर के शॉप पे आ जाती है ABC के यहाँ पे, and she is saying that I am giving you this gold bar of 24 carat. You make a gold ring out of this and you charge me the labor charges. In this case, ABC will be charging 18% and not 5%. इसके पहले के एग्जांपल में दोनों रजिस्टर्ड थे, इसके लिए उन्होंने 5% लगाया. यहाँ पे A अनरजिस्टर्ड है, so ABC has to charge 18%. थर्ड एग्जांपल, PQRN कंपनी है जो GST में रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है, 24 कैरेट गोल्ड देता है ABC कंपनी को, बोलता है कि मुझे इसमें से ज्वेलरी बना के चाहिए. Again in this case, GST will be 18% and not 5%. This is as per the clarification issued by the government on 22nd of November 2019. सर्कुलर नंबर 146 आया है जो एकदम क्लियर कट बताता है अगर आप रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के साथ काम करते हो तो 5% आएगा, आप अनरजिस्टर्ड के साथ काम करते हो तो द लेबर चार्जेस विल बी 18%. Okay, we move to the next part. Very important, friends. The principal who sends the inputs or capital goods without the payment of tax to a job worker, he will be treated as a principal. Principal can send inputs, capital goods for job work, and from there he can send it to another job work. अगर आपने एक जॉब वर्कर को बेचा है, आपको दूसरे प्रोसेस के लिए दूसरे कारीगर को बेचना है, वहीं से भिजवा सकते हो without payment of GST. इंटीमेशन फॉर द सेम हैज टू बी गिवन। अब ये इंटीमेशन कैसे दिया जाएगा? इंटीमेशन देना तो आवश्यक है, लेकिन इंटीमेशन वुड बी बाय द वे ऑफ फाइलिंग ऑफ GST ITC 04। So the condition is you can send your inputs for the purpose of job work, लेकिन आपको इंटीमेशन देना पड़ेगा, and intimation is by the way of filing of GST ITC 04 return. What is ITC 04? We'll see in the next slide. Responsibility of keeping proper accounts of inputs or capital goods shall always lie with the principal. Inputs or capital goods shall be sent to a job work under the cover of a challan issued by the principal. The challan has to be issued when the inputs or capital goods are sent directly to the job work. Let us see what is ITC 04. This is very important, friends. ये मैंने एक एक्सट्रैक्ट लिया है कॉलम नंबर 4 का, जो ITC 04 का रिटर्न है, जो प्रिंसिपल को भरना है, जो कारीगर को माल बेचता है उसको ये ITC 04 भरना है और उसको ये सब कॉलम्स फिल करना होगा। तो कॉलम नंबर 4 is very important. You have to give the name, GST number of the job worker, challan number and date, what are the goods which you are sending, quantity, value, type of goods, and what is the rate of GST, 3% है या जो है, what is the CGST, SGST और IGST. The important part over here is multiple entry of item for single challan may be filled. इसका मतलब ये हो गया कि अगर आप एक चालान में गोल्ड के साथ डायमंड्स भी बेचते हो तो आपको गोल्ड का अलग एंट्री करना पड़ेगा, डायमंड का अलग एंट्री करना पड़ेगा। If you are sending only gold, then the single line item will come. But if you are selling along with gold, diamond, alloy, or precious stones, semi-precious stones, so you have to keep on adding the multiple line items और आपको यहाँ पे उसका डिटेल मेंशन करना पड़ेगा। One more interesting thing over here is at times people will send the accessories भी भिजवाते हैं कारीगर को, तो whether that has to be entered over here. Say for example you have a necklace and you have a thread or a string over there which you are sending it along with it. So the answer is के do we need to have an entry for that also? Strictly legally speaking the answer is yes, but if we could make an entry for the other items, I would say that would suffice our purpose. अगर आप डायमंड, सेमी प्रेशियस स्टोन्स और गोल्ड का भी एंट्री करते हो, इट विल बी मोर देन इनफ। आई थिंक द अदर पार्ट वुड बी अ वेरी नेग्लिजिबल अमाउंट। ये आपने जो इशू किया वो पार्ट हो गया। लेट अस गो टू द रिसिप्ट पार्ट व्हिच इज गिवन इन कॉलम नंबर 5। लेट अस गो टू ईच एंड एवरी कॉलम। जीएसटी आपको डालना है जॉब वर्क का। चालान नंबर इशूड बाय द जॉब वर्कर अंडर व्हिच गुड्स हैव बीन रिसीव्ड बैक। आपने 100 ग्राम सोना इशू कर दिया, कारीगर से आपको सोना वापस आ रहा है, तो कारीगर का जॉब वर्क का जो कारीगर है उसका जो चालान नंबर है वो आपको यहाँ पे मेंशन करना है। चालान नंबर, डेट, डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ गुड्स, क्वांटिटी, ओरिजिनल चालान नंबर अंडर विच द गुड्स वर सेंट फॉर जॉब वर्क। आपने चालान नंबर 1 में 100 ग्राम सोना भेजा था, वो आपको चालान नंबर और डेट यहाँ पे लिखना है। मैपिंग इज रिक्वायर्ड। नेचर ऑफ जॉब वर्क डन, किसके लिए भेजा था आपने, for doing it for making jewelry, for meenakari work or something of that sort. Losses and wastage. Very interesting, friends. Here we need to understand. Column number 2 and 3 in table number A and table number B are mandatory. Let us try to understand. Column number 2 and 3 is mandatory in case where fresh challan are required to be issued by the karigar. Otherwise, column number 2 and 3 in table number A and B are optional. दोस्तों यहाँ पे कहने का मतलब ये है कि या तो आपको कॉलम नंबर 2 and 3 भरना है या तो 7 and 8 भरना है। ये दो में से ये आपको एक चीज भरना है, वरना आप ये रिटर्न फाइल ही नहीं कर सकोगे। कॉलम नंबर 7 and 8 में नॉट बी फिल्ड व्हेन 1-to-1 correspondence between the goods sent for job work and goods received back after job work is not possible. Either of 2 and 3 or 7 and 8 is required to be filled. I think let me take an example over here. We are issuing the goods, मैं से for example 100 grams of gold issue करता हूँ 24 कैरेट प्योर का, और उसके सामने मुझे ज्वेलरी बन के आ रही है 22 कैरेट गोल्ड की। तो ऑब्वियसली से 100 grams issued, 108 grams I am receiving it back. It could so happen कि ये पूरा मुझे वापस नहीं आएगा, पहले मुझे 22 ग्राम आएगा, फिर 38 grams आएगा, फिर अगेन 40 grams आएगा। I will be receiving in piece fill. In that case, the law is saying कि अगर आपको पीस फिल में आता है तो कारीगर हैज टू इशू अ जॉब वर्क चालान। व्हाट आई हैव सीन इन आवर इंडस्ट्रीज के कारीगर कोई चालान इशू नहीं करता है, हम लोग खुद एक रिसिप्ट वाउचर बना लेते हैं और वही हम लोग वहां पे मेंशन कर रहे हैं। इनफैक्ट द कारीगर हैज टू इशू अ चालान नंबर एंड दैट हैज टू बी मेंशन्ड इन 2 and 3। अगर आपको 100 ग्राम के सामने पूरे का पूरा 100 ग्राम वापस आ रहा है, तो यू कैन डायरेक्टली मेंशन 7 and 8. Then 2 and 3 is not required. That is what the provisions are saying over here. This form is really complicated, friends. I can understand from our industry point of view, where it is very much labor intensive है, and where majority of the people who are working with us are unorganized and they are not having proper accounting basis and all that. अगर आप कारीगर को ज्यादा प्रेशर करते हो तो ही सेइंग दैट आई एम सर आपसे काम नहीं करेगा, हम आपको माफ करें, या तो ही विल से सर आप ही हमारा चलन बुक रखिए, आप ही बना लीजिए, आपको जो बनाना है मैं साइन कर देगा. That is a sad reality of our industry, but yes, the provisions of the rules are saying something else, and if we don't comply with this, we are going to have an issue. ये फॉर्म इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड था या इतने सारे इश्यूज आ रहे थे, सो फॉर द इनिशियल 2 years 17, 18 and 18, 19 गवर्नमेंट ने इसमें रिलैक्सेशन दे दिया कि 2 साल आपको भरने की आवश्यकता नहीं है, बट आगे से एटलीस्ट फ्रॉम द 2019 and 20 यू हैव टू फाइल दिस. यहाँ पे उन्होंने 2 ऑप्शन दिए हैं. अगर प्रिंसिपल कारीगर को माल बेचता है और सेक्शन 143 फॉलो करता है, मतलब अगर आपको विदाउट पेमेंट ऑफ ये करना है, 143 फॉलो नहीं करता है, सॉरी, एंड इफ यू आर पेइंग जीएसटी, तो आपको आईटीसी 04 भरने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. बट इफ यू आर सेंडिंग इट टू अ कारीगर एंड इफ यू आर फॉलोइंग 143, तो आपको आईटीसी 4 भरने की आवश्यकता मैंडेटरी है. तो यू हैव अ चॉइस कि अगर आपको कारीगर को माल बेचना है एंड यू वांट टू सेंड इट अंडर अ डिलीवरी चलान जहां पे आपको जीएसटी नहीं भरना है, तो आपको आईटीसी 04 भरना पड़ेगा. और अगर आपको आईटीसी 04 नहीं भरना है, तो आप कारीगर को जो भी माल भेजोगे आपको जीएसटी भर के बेचना पड़ेगा. इसका मतलब ये हो गया कि अगर मैं 100 ग्राम सोना कारीगर को बेचता हूँ और मैं 3% जीएसटी लगा देता हूँ, देन आई डिड नॉट फाइल आईटीसी 04, फिर उसमें प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. बट इन दिस केस द जॉब वर्कर शुड बी रेडी टू एब्सॉर्ब द टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ 3%. कारीगर मानना चाहिए, बोलेगा सर आज मेरा टर्नओवर मान लो 50 लाख है, अगर मैं आपका प्रोसीजर फॉलो करता हूँ तो मेरा 2.5 करोड़ टर्नओवर हो जाएगा. आई विल बी सब्जेक्टेड टू ऑडिट्स, आई विल बी फाइलिंग द एनुअल रिटर्न. ये सब पेपर वर्क हमसे नहीं होगा सर, तो बेटर है आप विदाउट पेमेंट ऑफ जीएसटी मुझे फाइल कीजिए, जो भी पेपर वर्क करना है आप कर लीजिए सर.
So what is the due date for ITC 1920, sir?
So 1920, see, generally the date is, it is 25th after you complete the quarter, April to June, it is 25th of July. And so it is 25th of the subsequent quarter, I could say. But currently, due to COVID-19, they have given this relaxation, and maybe it has been extended to 31st of August.
That is for entire year we can fill in 31st August, sir?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
So I have highlighted some of the challenges over here. What if the treatment or process is done in goods belonging to unregistered person? What will be the GST rate? In this case, if you are doing it a job work for an unregistered person, yes, there is a separate category. They are saying that manufacturing activities on physical inputs owned by others, but the rate of GST here will be 18% and not 5%. Can the job worker, in addition to goods received from the principal, use his own goods for providing the services? Yes, ये हो सकता है. आपने 100 ग्राम सोना दिया है, alloy is being used by the कारीगर, he can add his own goods and he can do the job work. Will repairing, testing or hallmarking be also be treated as job work? In my opinion, repairing has a separate category, testing and hallmarking are separate categories, and it will be charged at 18%. It will not be treated as job work. Is filing of ITC 04 compulsory? वो बहुत सारे questions आते हैं when I go for webinar or when I go for a seminar on a pan India basis. People ask, सर ITC 04 फाइल नहीं किया, गवर्नमेंट क्या कर सकता है, हमको क्या होएगा, क्या पेनल्टी है? So the answer over here is yes, ITC 04, they have given a provision, it is as good as an intimation. So if you don't file this ITC 04, it will be treated as you have not given an intimation and the penal provisions will be applicable. What documents are required to be maintained in case of job work transactions? Yes, there should be a separate register. Normally मैंने देखा है कि most of the jewelry community में ऐसा हो रहा है कि they have a कारीगर का उनका एक ledger होता है which they do that accounting या उनका settlement होता है at the end of the year, and after the end of the year they have a settlement account and they close it. But yes, if you want to file this ITC 04 register, आपको yearly basis में settlement ledger नहीं चलेगा. You will have to go by the challan to challan basis and that mapping will be required. and you have to maintain a separate register whereby the challan wise movement have to be traced, and you have to keep on closing that.
One question I have. In the process of a job work, if somebody is giving gold to his karigar or his company to manufacture, and if he is melting the gold, and then he is melting the bars and then handing over the gold, will still 18% be applicable?
No. So now you are saying that if somebody gives a gold to the karigar and he melts it or he refines it, I would say that way.
No, not refines. He has got 10 bars of 100 grams.
Okay.
He melts it and he hands over 1 kilo gold to that fellow.
Okay.
To manufacture.
It will still be a job work, sir. He did the service of melting, I would say that way.
Yeah, but then he has already initiated the job work.
Right.
At his own place.
Right,
and then handing over. So how can 18% be applicable then?
No, sir. In that case, see, 18% is applicable only when you get the goods from an unregistered person. If you get the goods from a registered person, always the rate is going to be 5%.
But here even 5% will not be applicable, no?
So if he is melting and he is again giving the goods back, the same bar if he is returning back, maybe say I give 1 kg gold, and if you return me 1 kg of gold, then it is as good as there is no job work being done. It is a return of goods, I would say that way.
No. He returns it in the form of jewelry.
If he returns in the forms of jewelry, then there is a change in form. Then that means there is a job work which is being done.
Correct.
And then it should be 5%.
So if it is a registered to registered company, irrespective of whether a change has happened or not, it will be standard 5%.
5%. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
The next challenge over here is the principle required to make new challan for the movement of goods from one job worker to another job worker. Alternatively, is a procedure or endorsement being followed. अपने यहाँ पे इंडस्ट्री में ऐसा बहुत होता है कि एक कारीगर को माल बेचा गया रहता है और एक कारीगर से इंटीमेशन हो जाता है कि यही अभी दूसरे कारीगर को भिजवाना पड़ेगा. इन दैट केस प्रिंसिपल को एक नया चलन बनाना पड़ेगा या तो उसको एंडोर्समेंट करना पड़ेगा. देयर इज अ न्यू प्रोसीजर कि वो कारीगर खुद एक चलान बना सकता है या तो जो ओरिजिनल चलान आया था उसको एंडोर्स करके वो गुड्स आगे भेजे. I have not come across any of the jeweler. I am looking into so many of the corporate people. None of the people are following this procedure of endorsement. Even जो चलान बनाना है उसमें भी there is a mismatch. So I would still urge all the people that you please look into it. These are the issues which we have to handle. यहाँ पे जो चलान नहीं बना रहा है या चलान बनाना चाहिए, बनाना बहुत जरूरी है.
Every movement of goods is a new transaction.
Yes.
Every new movement is a new transaction.
Correct.
You can't use the same challan for all the transactions.
Yeah, you can use the same challan. So government has come out with a system of endorsement. अगर आपको same challan use करना है तो आपको endorse करके आगे भेजना पड़ेगा. अगर मैंने कारीगर A को माल दिया है और कारीगर B को वो भेज रहा है तो वो endorse करके आगे भेज सकता है.
So what is the process of endorsement?
Endorsement. That is a new procedure which has been introduced where you can endorse, you can use the same challan and you can send it further to the new kaarigar.
So what have you to do to endorse it?
You have to just put a stamp and being said that the goods received from ABC and company are being sent for the purpose of further job work.
This is only for the purpose of job work, nothing else.
Only for the purpose of job.
It can't be a delivery challan for moving around goods.
No. Only for job work.
Correct.
Yeah.
भाविन भाई.
हाँ नितिन भाई.
वो जो जॉब वर्क का 18 और 5% का कंफ्यूजन था, स्टिल देयर और इट इज गॉन?
नहीं, इट इज गॉन. वो हम लोगों ने फाइनली जो वहाँ पे मिनिस्ट्री में ये किया था, फिर उन्होंने एक सर्कुलर लेके आया, सर्कुलर नंबर 126. तो उन्होंने अभी एक सिंपल कर दिया है. अगर अनरजिस्टर्ड के पास आ रहा है तो 18% है और अगर रजिस्टर्ड के पास से आ रहा है तो 5% है. तो वो अभी उन्होंने क्लैरिटी दे दिया है.
लेकिन सर्कुलेटेड दिस एनीवेयर.
नहीं, वो बात हो गई थी मेरी भाई के. द ओनली थिंग आई थिंक व्हिच वाज with the government when we are doing work with the government. लेकिन अभी भी आपने जो जैसा कस्टमर ने मेरे पास गोल्ड दिया है, राइट? हाँ. तो इसमें 18 लगेगा, 5 लगेगा?
कस्टमर ने दिया है तो 18 लगेगा. वो उन्होंने अभी क्लियर कट लिख के दे दिया.
और मैं उसमें प्रोसेस करता हूँ मेरे शॉप के अंदर, तो देन आई एम आल्सो द मैन्युफैक्चरर, आई एम डूइंग ईदर वे समथिंग इन ऑन द प्रोसेस, so I am manufacturer, then in that case it is 5%.
No, no, sir. Even if you are manufacturing within your thing, but if you are receiving it from an unregistered person, see, उसका 24 कैरेट गोल्ड आता है, वो जो प्योर बार आपको देता है, उसमें से आपने मान लो एक नेकलेस बना के दे दिया, तो प्रैक्टिकली यू आर डूइंग ओनली लेबर जॉब.
ओके,
गोल्ड तो कस्टमर का है, तो अगर वो अनरजिस्टर्ड है तो 18% है, लेकिन अगर आपको कोई B2B से आता है या कोई डीलर से आता है तो 5% है.
इतना बड़ा चेंज आ गया, किसी को पता भी नहीं चला है.
This is the they have given in writing कि अगर रजिस्टर्ड से है तो 5 है और अनरजिस्टर्ड से है तो 18 है.
पर अभी सर पूरे इंडिया के अंदर अनरजिस्टर्ड से जो जॉब वर्क लिया जा रहा है वो 5% लिया जा रहा है जीएसटी उसके ऊपर, और सॉफ्टवेयर पहले एग्री नहीं थे, लेकिन अभी सारे के सॉफ्टवेयर भी 5% के हिसाब से कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं.
B2B होगा तो चलेगा.
नो सर, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट, no, I am not talking about B2B.
C2B.
C has given to businessman. C2B and then B2B and again returning to B2C.
नहीं नितिन भाई, I think in the last meeting which we had with योगेंद्र गर्ग जी, हम लोग जो मिनिस्ट्री में गए थे, आप भी मौजूद थे, आप हॉलमार्किंग के मीटिंग में थे, तो उन्होंने तभी भी क्लैरिफाई किया था. उसके बाद तो उन्होंने सर्कुलर ही पब्लिश कर दिया. उन्होंने बोला आप थोड़े दिन रुक जाइए, सर्कुलर आ जाएगा. सर्कुलर आ भी गया उसका.
ये तो कंफ्यूजन है, इसको तो परस्यू करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि 18 और 5 में कंफ्यूजन रहेगा हरदम. और मैं आपको बता देता हूँ, ये कंप्लायंस का प्रॉब्लम आएगा. पूरे इंडिया में लोगों ने 5% ही लिया इसके ऊपर, क्योंकि सारे सॉफ्टवेयर चेंज होके 5% पे आ गए customer to businessman के पास.
Most of the, Nitin ji, most of the Smiths are unregistered. None of the Smiths are registered. Most of them are unregistered.
No, I'm not talking about goldsmith. A customer gives you the gold to convert his jewelry into bangle, but he is giving the chain and converting it to the bangle. Then, according to Bhavin bhai, you need to pay 18% and collect 18%. But जब हम जब मिनिस्ट्री में देखिए, जब हम मिनिस्ट्री में जाते थे तो वो थे क्या नाम था उनका, वो रियाज अहमद साहब ने ओरली बोला था कि 5% लगेगा, 5% ही करिए करके. पर आपको याद है ओरली था, अपन परस्यू कर रहे थे कि सर इसको सर्कुलर निकालिए. करेक्ट.
सो अभी सर उन्होंने सर्कुलर निकाला है एंड फाइनली दे हैव कंक्लूडेड कि अगर अनरजिस्टर्ड से है तो 18 है और रजिस्टर्ड से है तो 5% है.
कस्टमर तो नेचुरली अनरजिस्टर्ड रहेगा.
बिल्कुल सर.
What we are doing in Karnataka, even if I receive gold, when I make a bill, I'll raise the GST for full value. So there is no question of only for the making charge. If it is given 100 grams gold bangle and if I make jewelry, I'll charge GST for 3%. No,
रमेश भाई, अभी पूरे इंडिया में बुलियन सेल हो रहा है 24 कैरेट, क्योंकि लोगों को ज्वेलरी जो है वो बाद में बनाना आफ्टर दिवाली. तो नाउ दे आर पेइंग 3% while they buying the bullion. Then again when they want to convert their jewelry bullion to jewelry, then again they will pay 3%.
Yes, so that's what we are following now.
So we need to pursue this matter.
या आशीष जी,
जो नितिन भाई ने केस बोला कि कस्टमर टू ज्वेलर सोना ओल्ड गोल्ड दिया जाता है और उसके नया ज्वेलरी बनाया जाता है.
करेक्ट.
उसमें बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि 50 ग्राम का बैंगल्स दिया और नया बैंगल 52 ग्राम्स का बना.
करेक्ट.
तो उसमें वो कंफ्यूजन रहता है, बहुत लोगों को मालूम नहीं. इफ यू कैन जस्ट एक्सप्लेन इन दैट केस व्हाट आर द टू मेथड्स.
या
वो 3% किस पे लगता है, पूरे पे लगता है, कैसा लगता है, 18% कौन से में आता है, वो जरा एक बार बता दीजिए, सो दैट द सिचुएशन विल बी क्लियर.
या ओके. कमिंग टू योर एग्जांपल व्हिच यू आर सेइंग दैट अगर 100 ग्राम गोल्ड आया है और मैंने मान लो 120 ग्राम का उसको नया ज्वेलरी उनको बना के दिया है, तो देयर आर टू ऑप्शंस. इफ यू कैन स्प्लिट दैट, तो इफ यू कैन गोल्ड के ऊपर आपको 3% भरना पड़ेगा, द एडिशनल 20 ग्राम्स गोल्ड, और बाकी का जो 100 ग्राम है उसके ऊपर आपको 18% आएगा.
बट इनवॉइस में तो मैं अलग नहीं दिखा पाऊंगा ना. इनवॉइस में तो 120 ग्राम का आइटम दिखेगा.
नहीं, 120 ग्राम का आइटम आप लिखोगे आपका जो है वो करके, बट देन 120 ग्राम में 100 ग्राम तो ऑलरेडी कस्टमर का ही था, आपका सिर्फ एडिशनल 20 ग्राम्स का आया हुआ है. So for that 20 grams, you will be billing that for at the rate of 3%, and for that बाकी का जो है जो 100 ग्राम में आपने लेबर चार्जेस हुआ है, लेबर चार्जेस के ऊपर जो आपका 120 ग्राम्स के ऊपर जो लेबर चार्ज है उसके ऊपर 18% आएगा. आई थिंक द डिबेट ओवर हियर इज कि मुझे मेकिंग पे 5 भरना है या 18 भरना है जो मुझे अनरजिस्टर्ड से आ रहा है. द आंसर इज इफ इट इज फ्रॉम अनरजिस्टर्ड इट इज 18, If it is not registered, it is fine.
If you remember, they have used the one word जब हम गवर्नमेंट से बात करते थे, प्रीडोमिनेंट वैल्यू. अगर 1 ग्राम सोना बड़ा है और 10 ग्राम बड़ा है, इसमें फर्क है. अगर 1 ग्राम बड़ा है तो आपको उसके ऊपर पूरा 18% लगाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि प्रीडोमिनेंट वैल्यू लेबर का ज्यादा है.
नहीं सर, ऐसा नहीं है. वो प्रीडोमिनेंस के ऊपर भी बहुत सारा डिबेट हो चुका है when we went over them, whether that predominance will be treated by the way of value और whether it will be treated by the way of के भाई उसका आपका रियल उसका ये क्या गया है, whether it is a material or the labor. बहुत सारा डिबेट हो गया सर. फाइनली वो लोग ये सर्कुलर लेके आए हैं, तो नाउ वी हैव टू गो बाय दैट सर्कुलर.
इट इज अ बिग कियोस. आज का अगर पूरे मीटिंग का अगर एक देखे जाएगा तो सबसे ज्यादा कंफ्यूजिंग और जो पूरे इंडिया अभी देखेगा तो वो है 18%. नोबडी इज कलेक्टिंग 18%.
Yes sir, nobody is collecting.
No, sir.
मेरे तो
in Bombay we are collecting 18%. नितिन भाई.
सर मेरे क्लाइंट से करवा रहा हूँ.
Yes.
अभी बाकी का तो पता नहीं है सर. So we really felt that this should be highlighted. तो सर यहाँ पे जॉब वर्क के प्रोसीजर में और थोड़ा आगे बढ़ते हैं. What people are really still not following. अगर आपको
जल्दी करिए, faster.
Yeah. I think this is the last slide and I think we can close.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we are receiving the goods in piecemeal from the कारीगर, what will be the situation? If you are receiving piecemeal, अगर आपने 100 ग्राम दिया है और आपको मान लो सामने आ रहा है 20 ग्राम 25 ग्राम, तो एवरी टाइम कारीगर को आपको एक चलान इशू करना पड़ेगा. जो अपने केस में नहीं होता है, कोई भी कारीगर चलान इशू नहीं करता है, अपन सेल्फ चलान इशू करते हैं, रिसिप्ट वाउचर बनाते हैं. तो दैट सिस्टम आल्सो वी नीड टू ब्रिंग. One very important thing over here is people are asking कि मैं तो 24 ग्राम में इशू करता हूँ, 24 कैरेट में सॉरी मैं इशू करता हूँ. जब मुझे ज्वेलरी वापस आती है मुझे 22 कैरेट में आती है. आई एम इशूइंग 100 ग्राम्स ऑफ गोल्ड प्योर एंड आई एम रिसीविंग 108 ग्राम्स. तो मेरे को मेरा अकाउंटिंग कैसे करना होगा? When I file the ITC 04, यहाँ पे 100 ग्राम है, यहाँ पे 108 ग्राम है, पूरा मिसमैच हो रहा है. तो कैसे टैली होगा? So these are some of the issues which we need to understand. I think job work itself is a very deep subject and I think we need lot of time कि ये कैसे accounting करना है. One very important question which people are asking is कि मेरे पास खुद की manufacturing premises है और जो कारीगर है वो मेरे premise में आता है, मैं उसके यहाँ पे नहीं बेचता हूँ. तो job worker comes to the premises of the principal, whether it will be treated as job work or not. उसको job work माना जाएगा या नहीं माना जाएगा? The answer is yes, it will still be treated as a job work. Waste and scrap, I think this is the last slide which we can take and we can close it then. Waste and scrap, there are two types. One is recoverable, other is not recoverable. If waste and scrap is recoverable, उसके ऊपर 3% GST आएगा. Non recoverable है, process loss है, उसके ऊपर GST नहीं आएगा. Process loss, I think Ashok bhai, if you are getting late, we can stop over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ramesh can take over.
I think most of the cases we are given extensively. Probably we may need one more session on these things. I think basically, as Nitin sir told, everybody is told, we have an issue with the old gold treatment and the job work. I think we should give a government that even ITC 04, I think none of us filed because we have a problem with the software also, which is not able to do it. I think we should give a representation. But I feel I will advise all the jurors to have a consult with your people, your accountant, to see that everything is properly. Otherwise, the penalties are very huge, which we should avoid. I think I thank Mr. Bhavinji. I think you have given a great enlightenment on GST, even though we feel it is a lot of things are issued, but still we have a lot to go. Even now also you're telling still we are in a dark. Even though we are big corporates and all, some of things we are not following. Now we came to understand. So I think if possible, I think Mindspeak will have one more session on the job work and whatever this liquid. Then we'll try to do it. Thank you, Bhavinji. You're giving a lot of time for this.
Thank you, Ramesh, for getting us this subject of discussion, and I think it was a really fruitful discussion. बहुत सारे प्रश्न किसी को माइंड में नहीं थे, वो भाविन जी ने सबके सामने लाए हैं और आई थिंक एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग रहा है और बहुत सारे प्रश्न लोगों के रह भी गए हैं और मैं मानता हूं कि 1.5 घंटा एक इनफ टाइम नहीं होता है सेमिनार का, लेकिन 1.5 घंटा से लंबा किसी का वेबिनार आज तक मैंने देखा नहीं है. एंड माइंडस्पीक का सबसे लंबा वेबिनार होता है और वो 1.5 घंटा क्रॉस ही हो जाता है हर वक्त. But I think at the end of the day, jab tak, as long as there is a lot of good brainstorming and a good discussion happening, I think it is fruitful for everyone. I also thank Bhavin Bhai.
Bhavinji, can you share your
all the great work?
PPT in our Mindset Web 6? Ashokji, can we put his...
I will put a PPT on the Mindspeak groups.
Not an issue, yeah.
Yeah, that is very much needed.
Done.
Thank you very much, Bhavin Bhai.
Okay. Thank you, Ashok Bhai. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night and have a wonderful day. We'll see you again.
Yeah. Good night.
Next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Till then, have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Stay home and do good business. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.